Your card is faulty, member for Chesume, because I'm pressing it here and it's not picking. So you might have to walk to the dispatch box or use that one, which is just, yeah, it's now fine.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Opportunity given so that I can also contribute. Kenya is a beautiful country. Kenya is greater than any one of us. Protect me, Mr. Speaker, protect me. It's a lot of noise. Thank you very much. So Kenya is a great country. Kenya is one country that we need to guard for the sake of our people and for the sake of our future. Mr. Speaker, sir, I have listened to the honorable members contribute, and I would say that on the part of the minority party, there is a lot of dishonest. Why? I've been waiting for just one word from every member of the opposition, and I thought their last word would be they would resign immediately after this session. Because you are condemning IEBC and you are a product of the same IEBC as a member of this House. And therefore, to me, I think we are very dishonest to ourselves, we are dishonest to this country. So Honorable Mbadi in absentia, Honorable Wandai, Honorable Wamalwa, Junet, with due respect, if you are really honest to this country, resign immediately, and then we ask for a by-election in your constituency. This motion has come at the right time. From 8th of August, and from the time the court gave the verdict and nullified the elections, this country has gone through so many challenges, and people are crying in our constituencies. Mr. Speaker, sir, I was in my constituency over the weekend, and businessmen are crying. Our economy is going down. The banks, last week I tried going to a bank to ask for a loan, and nobody is willing to give us the loans, just because of the uncertainty that this country has been put into by NASA. A time has come that we must shelve our self-interests. We are not ready, Mr. Speaker, for us to go again to the situation we were in 2007, 2008. We are not ready for that. When you look at the history of Honorable Raila, every other time he has stood for an election, what we have seen is the end result is violence. We are not ready this time round. He stood in the time of Moi, the time of Kibaki, now the time of Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta. And as a member of parliament from Chesume, as a member of parliament for this country, I am not ready. And I want to declare here that if it comes to the worst, then we are ready to defend this country. I'm asking the institutions that are in charge to take charge. The police, take charge. We love this country. We cannot allow few people to mess up with what we are doing here. The questions I'm asking, Mr. Speaker, sir, is Raila scared of the elections? And if so, he should not mess up with this country with what he's doing with the members of the opposition. I'm saying that the best thing that we can do at this moment, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order member for Chesume.
Thank you.
You know you are an old hand member for Kibra. And you know when you are in this house, you really wouldn't do what you would do back in the constituency. So you know you cannot shout from where you are. You know you can just press the intervention and you have it. And I'm giving you that intervention. So proceed. But if you do what you did again, I will punish you severely. But proceed and have that. What is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, you know, is a member in order to make us passionate about the confidence and preparations of a member of a distinguished statesman in the history of Kenya who is ready for elections, a member of parliament for Kibra. The Honorable Raila Odinga is one of my voters. We vote at the same polling station. I'm his member of parliament. I know with full confidence, as Honorable Jeanette has just told you, that our position is we are ready for elections, but we're not just ready for any elections. We're insisting on quality elections. So the member should be corrected and should withdraw his allegation that we're not ready. We are saying uchaguzi bora, si bora uchaguzi.
I listened very carefully.
In order to talk to...
Order, Honorable Member for Kibra. I listened very carefully, and I was here, as you are aware, when Jeanette spoke. It's not what you are saying. So I would rather you would speak on your own behalf or actually point out an issue that you think the member...
Very well.
Yes, because if you say what Jeanette did not say, then you know that you'll be contradicting him and you have no right.
Very well, Mr. Speaker. I stand guided, and from your experience, all I would say is the fact that we are ready for quality elections, not just any elections that are not credible.
Now that's clear. So let's give a Honorable Member for Chesume his last 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Speaker. At this point in time, I would want to suggest, for the sake of a better Kenya in future, let us support IEBC. Let us come up with strategies that will strengthen IEBC instead of condemning it. After all, we are a product of IEBC. For Bobby Owino, Honorable Member, we just want to remind him that he's no longer in leadership, student leadership at the university. He is an honorable member. And therefore, in everything that he does, in every word that he mentions, it should be honorable and respect the Kenyans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable KJ and Angatia Savula are top on the list, but I will make my decision and give one lady member. Topmost on the list of lady members is Honorable Member for Taveta. Then I will give, I'll come back to the list.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to also contribute to this motion of adjournment. I think, Mr. Speaker, sir, it's important for everybody to just read the Constitution clearly. People should not be reading the Constitution to suit what they want. I think the Supreme Court talked about the rule of law, talked about the Constitution of Kenya, yet the same Supreme Court forgot the most important article in this Constitution is Article number 1, the sovereignty of the people of Kenya. It is so important that I would rather all members go and look at it. And the moment people look at it, then we shall not go that way. Because if at the end of the day the Supreme Court decided we are going for elections, can we all go for elections? Because the sovereignty of the people of Kenya cannot be subverted by a few people, or a few people who think they must rise to power through the back door. Mr. Speaker, sir, just to remind members what is in that article, 1.1 speaks about all sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya and shall be exercised only in accordance with this Constitution. And 1.2 speaks the people may exercise the sovereign power either directly or through the democratically elected representatives. Mr. Speaker, sir, we can't jump and go and talk about transmission before we have looked at this and known the importance of whether those people turned up to vote or they did not vote. We cannot be talking every day about an issue which we all know, that the same IBC that is being bashed left, right, and center is the same IBC which was in charge of the election which brought us here. It doesn't make sense, Mr. Speaker, sir, for people to pretend that it is okay for us to be here, but it is not okay for other people who are elected through the same means not to be there. But as annoyed as we are, as much annoyed as we are, as we feel it was very unfair, we have decided we are going to respect the rule of law. An election has been set for 26th of October. We are giving excuses every day, pretending that if we do not get this, we will not do this. Mr. Speaker, sir, when we were in the 11th Parliament, I happened to have been in the Parliamentary Select Committee, which brought in the reforms, which brought in the new commission. Before this commission started, people started talking about rigging, they started talking about all manner of things. Mr. Speaker, sir, today we are being treated to that charade again, and unfortunately, our judiciary was also sucked in. But all the same, after they made that decision, we have respected that decision, and we are going for this election. Now, when people talk, I heard my brother Junet talking about there not being any election in this country. I heard Ken from, Honorable Ken from Kibra member, speaking about changing what Junet said. I just want to remind you, Ken, of course, my colleague, that there are people who sit at the periphery of parties, and there are those ones who sit right inside. And when they say things, we listen to what they say. So you know what I mean when I say that. And everybody here who knows what transpired, what has been transpiring, knows what I'm talking about. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is important for us to know Kenya is important than all of us.
It doesn't help so much, Honorable Shaban, when you speak in parables, because everybody wants to follow you. You know you are saying, everybody knows what you are saying.
Yes. The members who sit at the periphery and the ones who sit inside, and they make decisions and they listen to decisions and they make contributions to those decisions. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think it is important for us to know Kenya is more important than all of us. We can be there today, we cannot be there tomorrow, and yet Kenya must survive. And people must know that once the Supreme Court has decided, 26th October, we have to go for this election. We cannot afford to put the country at the place where we put it just because we want to please the whims of one person. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to agree and support that 26th October it is, and what IBC is doing, let them go ahead and do a credible election. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, but I also want to remind people of the meaning of verification. It's important for you to read. Just read and understand what verification means. It doesn't mean what suits you is what is verified.
Honorable KJ.
Honorable Speaker, and I rise to support this motion to adjourn the other business so that we can...
It seems your mic is not very clear. Would you use the next one? Maybe the reason is because both of them are on. Yes, proceed now. Let's see.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And I rise to support that we adjourn so that we can discuss this issue of the presidential election. And I support because I realize that we cannot as a country continue to hide our heads in the sand. We all need to arise to the reality that we are living in very precarious times. And these are special times when we are called upon as leadership in this country to take action. We are living in the reality of a ruling made by the Supreme Court, where we have been ordered to go back for presidential re-election. And the implications are clear. For us who come from this city, we know that we are housing the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And as of last week, the Nairobi Securities Exchange was reporting a loss of close to 130 billion Kenya shillings, which is directly attributed to the ruling that was made. The transport business in this city was reporting a loss of close to 25 billion Kenya shillings. And as we stand right now, with the uncertainty of a date of a presidential election, we are even glaring at a threat to over 1 million young Kenyans who might not sit a national examination that they have prepared for 4 years and 8 years respectively. So something needs to be done. And that thing needs to be done first and foremost by this House. The first thing we need to do is we need to stop bemoaning what has happened in the past and look for a way forward. And my proposal, Mr. Speaker, is to start exploring how we can make an election possible, and an election possible on the 26th of October. This House is mandated and has the powers to make this election simple, verifiable, and all those other principles that the Constitution allows for. And that's where I'm inviting our members from the minority side to join us, not in castigating an institution or individuals, but in finding a way where we can get a way forward for this country that is as painless as possible. And this is one election. We as a country have gone into elections where we have conducted 6 elections on one day. We are seeking to just conduct an election of the president. Mr. Speaker, sir, I think what we are witnessing right now are acts that are not in good faith. When we decide that we are going to obey a court order in part, whereas we all know that this court order was in 2 parts, 1 nullifying the election, but 2 also demanding that this election is conducted within 60 days, then I'm in order, Mr. Speaker, to say that this is a very dark day when we hear it from the members of the minority side saying that this election will not happen, and all the implications that come with that statement. To make it worse, the actions that, Mr. Speaker, I drove to this place coming from my constituency, and driving along Uhuru Highway and Anniversary Towers, it looks like a scene out of a movie, maybe depicting a place in Syria or Cambodia at its worst. To tell me that that was a peaceful demonstration would be an abuse of the word. I did not see any protester carrying a white handkerchief. I did not see any protester carrying a placard. These were people who are ready to go to war. Finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would want to call upon the minority to do some internal housekeeping. The utterances of one Honorable Babu Owino are despicable. Despicable not only because it comes from...
It's over. Therefore, I give the member for Lugari.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to contribute to this motion. I've been waiting for it for a long time. Mr. Speaker, this is the first time in this House for me to speak while on the side of the opposition. And I'll maintain my objectivity as a member of parliament elected by the people of Lugari, irrespective of my party affiliation. First and foremost, this motion gives us an opportunity to reflect soberly and objectively on what transpired during the last general election. I don't think this motion has been brought with bad faith of castigating the judiciary or any other institution in this country, but the motion should be utilized to have a lasting solution to the crisis we are facing in this country. We should set aside our political differences as members of parliament and utilize this opportunity to come together and put necessary reform structures at IEBC to ensure that we have a free and fair election. Mr. Speaker, I can remind this House that I sat in the 11th Parliament, and it took us 30 minutes, both the opposition and the government side, to pass electoral laws. What is so difficult now? We are elected leaders. Let's seize this opportunity, discuss, like the way we discuss inter-parties, and pass the same law. Let's create a level playground for the elections that are coming on 26th. Mr. Speaker, the issue of some of us, members of parliament, beating war drums. We are mentally preparing our supporters for chaos. We don't want to walk that path of ICC anymore. It is embarrassing for a developed democracy like Kenya. Mr. Speaker, you see some youth demonstrating against the judiciary. Against the judiciary. What does that tell you? That we are heading into a chaotic situation. The IEBC demonstration, again, we are heading into a chaotic situation. Let's sit as members of parliament, the way we passed last time the electoral laws, after being lectured by our principals. I remember President Uhuru lecturing us at a PG meeting. They were also lectured, the opposition. And we came here, we passed the laws within a record 30 minutes. Why can't you do the same now, instead of beating the war drums? Mr. Speaker, if this country burns, it's not a Kikuyu burning, it's not a Luhya burning. Let's do our job as elected leaders. Let's sit together, tribe, or even your reasoning. Think Kenya first.
Cheruyot Chesire.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I think also I'm standing to agree with this motion today, Mr. Speaker, sir. And many of the words that the rest of our members have spoken, it is true that this Kenya has got one judiciary that is neither NASAS or Jubilee. I didn't find it proper for one member saying that even after this election of 26, if they are not happy again, Maraga is there. It should be clear that Maraga does not belong to any group of a coalition. Maraga or the Supreme Court is independent. And so I wanted to speak about elections, which actually brought about the ruling, and was specifically about mad elections full of irregularities. And the irregularities were the transmission of results. In this transmission of results, it is only unfair to talk of transmission of results when you're addressing Wanjiko. What Wanjiko knows is that after voting, he dropped his paper or ballot paper in a box. About transmission, it is something a common mwananchi might not understand. It is only better or good for us if we can go back to manual voting. And in our Constitution, Chapter 7, Section 86A, it only stipulates that in whatever method you use to vote, it should be transparent and clear to everyone. But when you are doing digital, that grandmother, that grandfather, that Wanjiko in the village is not actually even aware of these things you are talking of transmission. So if results are validated by transmission, they are cancelled because of transmission, I think we are becoming unfair to that common mwananchi. Because after voting, she knows or he knows how he dropped his paper. And by someone, by a honorable member, the leader of minority saying, going back to manual is taking this country back. It is not in our Constitution. It is something that we designed.
And we can always change and say, if this digital is not fitting us, we can as well go back to manual, if that is what can bring sanity. And after all, we have a country which has done it by example, and this is Germany. We can always refer. If they did it manually and they got right results and they were able to accept, then we can forget about these transmissions and go manual. And for sure, that is the way we should think about. We can revise our way of voting. The other thing is the issue of the date, 26 October this year. I heard the Right Honorable Raila saying 26th is the birthday for Uhuru. Which day is not a birthday for anyone? Whichever date you pick is a birthday to somebody. And for that matter, these are very, it demeans to just call a day a birthday for someone, then you say you cannot choose that day, unless there's some other reasons. And it is clear that our brothers from that coalition, NASA, they are using all terminologies, all English words, every other many things they talk, to just say they don't want elections. And for sure, I think IBC is not telling us that such a party should go and vote. It is about an individual casting a vote. And so, whichever coalition you belong, it is your choice to go and vote that day or you don't. The fact remains, on the date of counting, it is that person, it is the percentage that matters. It is not the parties and the coalitions. And maybe so that I sit. In 1982, when I was in nursery school, the coup was done. It is high time for Raila Amolo Odinga to resign. If not resigning, retire. Because it is long overdue for him to be in these things when he's not making it forth. So it is only fair for Kenyans to go by peace, love, and unity for that party that brought me here, KANU. We shall go back.
Your time is over. Now, Honorable Asiali, you will speak for 1 minute, 30 seconds, and the balance, of course, as you know, is going to still be in your bank.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think there is an advantage of also speaking after many members have spoken. And I've heard many, especially those from the other side, who have been talking about peaceful demonstration. And sometimes you wonder whether they know the meaning of peaceful. Because, Mr. Speaker, their party leader, while asking for them to come out and demonstrate, he actually specifically talked of coming to eject the officials of IEBC from their offices. And ejecting, I don't know how peaceful it can be if you are ejecting officials. Mr. Speaker, one of the most important reasons in leadership is that, and captured very well in chapter 6, Mr. Speaker, is to demonstrate that you respect people. Actually, you have to demonstrate that you respect people, and that's why, Mr. Speaker, there is the aspects of integrity. Mr. Speaker, most of these leaders who are here have been approved by EACC to have qualified to have fight for positions, various positions they are holding today, Mr. Speaker. I don't know whether the party leader of NASA